The next tag I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I did my tag that looked like a brick wall. And this is the same technique I use for my binding as well, the brick wall binding for my Victorian mini album. And I'm using Napa Red, Gingerbread, Marigold and Espresso. Of course you don't need to use the exact same colors, but what you need to do is find an orange, a yellow, dark brown, and this is something like a deep red. So all the colors that would basically look like a brick wall, and I've done so here. And now the next part is I'm just adding some faux glazing medium. This is to my brown, my orange, my yellow and my red. And the idea how I got this technique as well is I saw one of the YouTube video on making cards, and they use actually, what did they use? They use ink pads instead, the Stupendous ink pads, and rubbed it against their cardstock. And I was thinking, hey, I think I can do the same technique, but instead of using Stupendous pigment inks, I can use acrylic paints. And all I need to do is, as you guessed it, add faux glazing medium. And we'll make all the colors translucent. So, okay, so the first color I'm going to go with is yellow. And for this, I am using, because I want the streak looks, so this is why I'm using a paintbrush. So I'm not using a facial cotton, as you saw in the other tags. And this one, I'm going over now with the orange. Don't worry if some of the parts is not getting any of the paints, because you're going to go through that again with another color. Now I'm just adding the red to where some of the white streaks are, where some of the streaks, where the white streaks where the paint has not covered it up yet. Let's go across. The red, you just really need very little of it. And lastly, the brown. And I'm going to go over where the red is, because I really want my red to be very subtle, not an obvious look. Okay. And as you can see that the colors is not really absorbing too well now, because I think the tag is too wet. So I'm going to dry this and then go over it one more time with another color. And I see my tag is a little bit too on the red side, so I'm going to add more yellow, because I think brick wall or a brick looks more orangey than it looks red. So I'm going to go over it with yellow, and then I'm going to add orange to it. And if you see the colors that you're putting on is not coming out too much, you can either thicken the paint with acrylic, just add a little bit more acrylic paints, or dry this and start again. So I'm going to dry this one more time and start again. As you dry it, you can see that the acrylic paint is a little bit one shade lighter. So sometimes it's pretty good to dry after, 2 or 3 layers that you have done. And I'm going to go one more time with brown. Okay, I think my brown is a bit too watered down, so the streaks is not very obvious. Okay. Okay, I'm going to dry this. And I think, because I still am not very happy at the results, so I'm just going to add just one more layer of orange and one more layer of yellow. I think this should do it. I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to do the same thing as I've done here on the other side of the tag. After painting both sides of my tag, I'm taking out my Team Holtz texture die and texture fades, and this is the brick wall that I'm talking about. I put my tag inside my folder, lined it up nicely, I'm using tab 1 and I'm putting my plates and then running through the big shot. And I'm going to go through one more time to make sure it's very nicely, deeply embossed. And voila! This is the result that you get. And then next time I'm going to do something really fun. So hang on. I'm going to take my vintage photo and I'm just going to go over my tag. And by doing this, you can see that where the embossed area is, or where the raised edges are, is more obvious. And then I'm going to rub it really lightly to make sure that all parts of it gets it. I'm going to rub really lightly, and I'm going to do the same thing with Rusty Hinge. So the first color was Vintage Photo, and the next color is Rusty Hinge, because I want my brick wall to be more of an orangey color rather than a brown tone. And then this time I don't need to let it sit to dry or rub it with the cotton bud, but in this case I'm going to use some magical micas. This is Terracotta from Lindy Stem Gang, and I'm just going to run it across my tag.
You tucked me in, turned out the light, kept me safe and sound at night. Little girls depend on things like that.
Once I'm happy with the tone of the color, I can stop, and here you see a very nice shimmering brick wall tag that you have just made under 10 minutes. And for the behind here as well, see, I didn't cover this because I really liked the embossed look, and I also like the debossed look. So this is something really fun technique that you can make a brick wall with acrylic paints, and how you do it with stupendous pigment inks. I will put the link below where I got this technique from. And I did this same technique as well, also using pigment inks, but instead of using the stupendous pigment inks in the tutorial that I saw, I used color box because this is what I have. And this series is the wood grain series. I think one of my videos I call it Wooji. Okay, I just realized it's wood grain. So, and I use this mustard yellow, orange, red, and this is brown, some chestnut brown. Oops. Okay, so you just use whatever that you have, just bring it out, and you can do so many things with it. I'm talking about, I put my tag and my folder, and put my plates, and I'm going to run it through the big shot. And I put my tag inside my folder. I've put my plates, and I'm going to run this through the big shot.
Don't you worry, hold on tight, I promise you